Alright, hello. We're gonna talk about Venom movies, and specifically Venom the Last Dance. But first, my sponsor, Nobody. We're getting right into it. The Venom trilogy has come to an end. The Venom movies. Venom 2, I don't know the name of, and Venom 3, The Last Dance, which is the most important one we're going to talk about, because it just came out. All these movies, all three of them, have been really fun. Actually, really good, a good blast of action and entertainment, in my opinion. Not the greatest quality films, I don't think. I wouldn't put them up on. Definitely regarding in a superhero franchise or anything, I wouldn't throw them up there in some of the greatest ones out there. But definitely getting a character of Venom, which is kind of this huge fan favorite Spider-Man villain slash anti-hero person, definitely in the case of the movies, top notch, honestly, in my opinion. You could maybe do it better, but to do it better, it would be a far darker R-rated evil side. But this one has been a lot of fun. The trilogy we've gotten has been a ton of fun. Tom Hardy has an excellent job portraying Eddie Brock and Venom. And honestly, throughout all three films, even this third one, The Last Dance, it's a delight to see him back and forth with himself as Eddie Brock and Venom. He does a fabulous job. He's a fabulous actor. I mean, all of his stuff is really good. If you haven't watched a lot of Tom Hardy films, go watch them. They're great. But him as Venom and Eddie Brock is fabulous. Honestly, that's one of the delights to go see the movie, is just for him and his back and forth between the two characters. As for the movies themselves, geez, I've seen the second movie once. Here I flippin' own it, and I've only seen it once. It's probably same with the first movie, honestly. I don't even remember the bad guy in the first movie. But the good thing is I can't say anything bad about them, so that means they've got to be good, right? Decent enough. They're all really good. Given the fact that, kind of stretching outside of Venom for a second, given the fact that it is a Marvel property and it is Spider-Man in relation to the closest superhero he's with, it's been in some turmoil, right? Sony technically owns Spider-Man, and therefore they technically own Venom, and so it's not actually under Marvel's direction. So they're Sony-made movies, and because of that, they've definitely pulled themselves out of the MCU that's going on. So technically, these movies. Venom 1 definitely wasn't in the MCU. Venom 2 had a tease where he multiverses over to the MCU universe, and then the third movie touches on that again because that was the post-credit scene of Venom 2, if you remember. But aside from the MCU, that's not important in this. It's the fact that Sony owns the property, and they're kind of trying to distance themselves away from the MCU, despite kind of having to be in the MCU, because you can't have Spider-Man and Venom and not really be in the giant MCU that's been going on for so long. However, that being said, they're not using, Marvel's assets to create a movie. It's still very much a Sony movie, and that very much sticks out to the bad degree. I think that's the worst part about these three movies especially, is that it's very Sony controlled, and you can tell. Not that Marvel's any better, not that giving it to Marvel would have been better and just letting them run away with it. It could have possibly even been worse. What we got is great. But especially the second movie was very short-lived. It was an hour and a half long, I remember. The movie was an hour, 40 minutes max, if you're lucky. And it was carnage, it's what you wanted to see, was Venom and Carnage. And I felt like that whole section was just the third act, and it was kind of short-lived. This movie, Venom the Last Dance, suffered from the same thing. The movie's not bad. It's a great ton of fun. love seeing Venom do his Venomy stuff and fight with Eddie Brock against the villain of the movie or whatever. And it's always fun to see, and it's, Venom's just freaking cool, dude. Like, it's cool to see the transformation, him fighting people, the tentacles flopping everywhere, and watching enough anime to know where that would go. But him biting people's heads off and stuff, it was scary that we, were afraid we weren't going to get that because they wanted it PG-13. You get that now. It's not a bloody mess, as it could be if it was R-rated, but you get it at least, And Venom's just cool to see, and they've kind of taken it in a light-hearted comedy path, anti-hero approach, right? Like, he's not the bad guy, and they really push into that with the third movie, which isn't a bad thing. The story that it has across all three of them is pretty decent. However, going into this third movie, definitely coming out of the first two, you would kind of expect some crossover, right? It's the third movie in a trilogy. The story should overarch between all three films. And I feel like the third movie, The Last Dance, was definitely like almost a stage one rewrite. I feel you can tell going to see the movie, you can tell that there are moments in the movie where they have completely rewritten a section or completely changed the entire existing point of characters in the film. There's a group of characters that Eddie Brock runs into in the film that's a whole like hippie family. And when you step back from the interaction with them and their point in the movie, is that they don't have a point in the movie. Like, there is no reason of existence for that group of characters in this third film. And that sticks out like it sticks out like a sore thumb. Not to say, like, the characters aren't bad. The acting was good. There were really funny moments used with those characters. But they didn't serve a purpose to the story. And it seems as if there was, complete rewrites. And there technically was. Supposedly there was a rumor before the movie came out that the story was Venom was going to be protecting a young Peter Parker not being attacked by the symbiotes or whatever. And, like, Venom had to save Peter Parker so he could become Spider-Man or some BS like that. I'm glad they rewrote that if that was the plan, because it definitely was not fitting. But supposedly one of the family members of that little family crew was going to be Peter, and I think they rewrote that, and now that whole group of family sticks out like a sore thumb, and they really like hit things on the nose of like throughout the whole film. They kind of like very much, it seems like they kind of walk in a scene and they don't have a structure for the scene, so they're just kind of like, oh, what's the closest thing I can reference? This is gonna, some people are gonna hate it. It Kingdom Hearts did. Like, they walked into a scene and they're like, darkness is coming and it's bad, but with the light power, we can stop it. That's what kind of the third film felt like, was a lot of scenes were rewritten, a lot of characters didn't really know what to say or what to do, and so it felt very short-lived, or like not baked. A half-baked cookie, if you will. A half-baked cookie's fantastic, it tastes great. Hell, we'll eat raw batter cookie, that stuff tastes amazing, right? But when you're wanting a fully baked cookie, nothing's gonna substitute. Like, you can't have a half-baked cookie when you wanted a fully baked cookie. Okay, off track. But I hope that gets the point across, that like the movie felt kind of half-baked or rewritten like right before filming. They were like, wait a second, all this is trash, we gotta start from scratch. Okay, you gotta go in there and like, Venom is a bad guy, you gotta go in there, you gotta say he's a bad, just go in there and say he's a bad guy. And I mean, that's what they did. They like kind of walked in there like, I'm gonna get that boy, I'm gonna get him, he's bad. Scene, fantastic, we're gonna go get him, let's go get him. It was that, but like, the acting wasn't bad. I make fun of it there, but it wasn't bad acting. All the actors in it were great, like I said, but they just kind of felt like they were quickly rushed into it and missed out on really good writing or something, perhaps. I don't really know. I can't put my finger on like what was missing or what was bad particularly. because it wasn't bad. I'm not gonna say the movie was bad because it wasn't. It was an enjoyable, fun movie, but it definitely didn't like. I can't be like, oh, dude, the writing was fantastic, or like the lighting is exceptional, or the action shots were great, which they were. But there wasn't cinematic or thematic elements that stuck out where I was like, yes, dude, this is it. It's just a fun little movie, which it's a superhero movie to the degree that it is, and it's just fun, right? However, it was short-lived and kind of PC and splotchy, and they just kind of did things because they could. They were like, what if we, what has Venom not done? Is basically what this film was. They come into the third film and they're like, all right, this is the last film of the trilogy. What has Venom not done in the previous two films? He hasn't taken over other things. We need to show that the symbiote can take over other things. Let's have him take over a horse, and let's make Venom horse. And to minorly spoil, it's not a spoil of the story, but in the credits, the first chunk of the credits just shows a bunch of like concept art of Venom taking over animals. Like, it goes through a good selection of like 10 venomized animals. Really funny. But that's kind of what the whole movie was just like, what is the last thing we haven't seen in the Venom universe that we've created here with these three films? And it wasn't bad. It was fun and enjoyable. I mean, like I said, the actors are great. Juno Temple, like, you want to see more of the characters. She had a backstory in the film, and it felt very rushed and unimportant at the end of the day. Like, it starts her off with her kind of little backstory, and it seems unimportant. There's a moment where there's a story element teased for absolutely no explainable reason, other than it's foreshadowing to be used later, and it sticks out very badly. It's like, why is this being focused on? And it's like, oh, by the time we get to the end of the film, it becomes the big important factor. So just kind of like cheesily and hastily scratch written very fast and fun. But it wasn't bad, it's just when you look into it in those deep cinematic and thematic elements and stuff, like a hardcore film review critic could bash on it and say how like just lightly and quickly done the movie was. The best part of the film, though, for sure, is definitely the third act, which has kind of been the case for the Venom films. In Venom 1, I couldn't honestly tell you. I don't remember the movie. Venom 2 is, of course, Venom vs. Carnage in the Cathedral, which was super cool always to see. However, short-lived. And the third film, definitely, I won't spoil it, but the third act is also a gigantic fight regarding Venom and the bad guys. And it is freaking cool to see, dude. It's cool to see all this stuff. However, they throw in a lot, and it's very, some bits are very, very, very short-lived. And you wish you could just see more or get a little more info or detail in what they kind of showed off. Because it was very quickly done, very, very fast approaching, very heavy hitting and stuff. But it was awesome to see. You really want more. So it's not really bad to want more. It wasn't terrible to where I was like, well, this was stupid. I'm glad it's over. It was me wanting more. And I wish I could have like an extended cut of the movie that kind of maybe dives into the specifics of kind of the third act and stuff that we see. But man, there was some cool stuff in the third act for sure. Overall, the trilogy and the third movie, I mean, they're just fun to watch. You can't get enough of Venom because he's such a cool character, and Tom Hardy does an excellent job portraying Eddie Brock and Venom and the clash between the two and the acceptance of the two. This being the third film, it definitely rounds out the trilogy, and it has a very lovely, like, sweet montage moment at the end that has honestly been, like, missing from movies. I watched, the ending is kind of this, like, ending montage of, like, alright, we're done with Venom, the trilogy's over, we are ending it. Despite maybe some end credit scenes that say it's gonna try to continue in some way, shape, or form. Of course, it's, like I said, it is in the Marvel universe to a degree of multiverseness. You get into multiverse, everything's in the multiverse. I mean, for crying out loud, the Hills Have Eyes are in the Marvel universe somehow, and then the Sound of Music also is. So it's like, what isn't in the Marvel universe? But the ending is this nice little like montage of kind of scenes from all three films, and it was really nice to see. It was really like I can't count the last time you had like this like flashback moment of just the entire series, like your life flashing before your eyes, and it was really good. It was really fun, and overall, yeah, the movie was a fun little blast. I mean, you're not gonna hate the movie if you go and see it. It was really fun. I enjoyed it. I wouldn't, I wouldn't necessarily like throw any awards out there, like there wasn't acting that was like off the charts. There was really good parts. There was really short, cheap parts, and there was really funny parts that made me laugh. And I mean, other than that, it's a great movie. It's not like a B movie. I would put it above a B movie, but it was just really fun and good. Yeah. If I had to rate it, I'd like to give it 4 out of 5 stars. However, it was just really, really short-lived, and I felt like they could have done better in it. And definitely with the third movie in a franchise, they should have done better. But what we got, there's nothing negative I could say about it. So, 3 out of 5, 4 out of 5, take your pick, Maybe Venom gets 3 out of 5 and Eddie Brock gets 4 out of 5. I don't know. Anyway, I recommend them. I recommend all three of them and the third one for sure. And it's okay. That's what I gotta say. He doesn't really have a catchphrase. We are Venom. There we go. That's it. Okay, I'm calling it that.